All I need is some sunshine. All I need, all I need is some sunshine. All I need.
Greetings, I'm your host, Dr. Wolfula, and when I'm not carving jack-o'-lanterns out of the heads of children, I'm here at the Wolfula reviewing movies. Happy Halloween! I can only presume that this is Halloween, and that means the conclusion of October 5. Kind of. There's still some other shit I need to do. Fuck. Enough of my problems, though. For October 5, I examined some icons of horror through some choice films. Last time, Ghostface got his or her time to shine. Now let's get to Sam, the enforcer of Halloween tradition from Trick or Treat. Sam first appeared in an animated short by Michael Dougherty called Season's Greetings that came out in 1996. Here's some trivia. The reason why I say greetings is because of the title of that short. No fooling. The short was a simple atmospheric piece about a little boy named Sam wearing a scarecrow-like costume trick-or-treating alone in a dark neighborhood late at night. Unknowingly, Sam becomes the target of a killer, who is apparently a shadow. The short debuted on MTV, and Sam wouldn't make another appearance for more than a decade, until Michael Dougherty made his directing debut with a little horror flick entitled Trick or Treat. Now, Trick or Treat was supposed to come out in 2007. I actually remember not thinking much of it and being all like, there is no way Trick or Treat can beat the Halloween remake. Yeah, I was really looking forward to that remake. It had a good trailer, okay? Trick or Treat ended up getting shelved, supposedly for its controversial subject matter involving the murder of children. Because everybody knows that horror movies aren't supposed to upset you. They're supposed to be fun. Trick or Treat was eventually released in 2009, direct-to-video like a common porno. Porn still comes out on video, right? Wait, I don't want to know. Let's get to the review. The movie takes place in Warren Valley, Ohio. I don't know if you can tell, but it is currently Halloween. I know, I was surprised too. The usually dull town is home to a yearly town-wide Halloween party that looks like a riot, in a good way. So here's what's what. Trick or Treat doesn't tell just one story. No, it's an anthology movie that tells 4 stories, but unlike most anthology movies, the stories of Trick or Treat are not isolated. The stories all take place on the same Halloween night, and sometimes the stories intersect. So you might see characters from one story appear in another story. For instance, the trick-or-treaters in the second story make their first appearances in the first story.
Great costume, Mr. Wilkins.
Boy.
Also, the stories are sometimes told out of order, non-linear-like. And to get that across, the movie has comic book-style narration boxes. Trick or Treat is like, you know, an homage to old EC comic books. This is not as heavy as in Creepshow, but it's there, especially in the credits. There's kind of a Pulp Fiction vibe to Trick or Treat because of the way it tells the stories, and especially because the beginning of the movie is also the end of the movie. Another way that Trick or Treat is like Pulp Fiction is that Samuel Jackson stops a robbery in both movies. Whoops, spoilers. The storytelling of Trick or Treat is well done, especially since, in some cases, you get to see 2 different perspectives of a scene that happens in 2 different stories. So you're left wondering what happened, only to get an answer later in the flick. Including the credits, Trick or Treat is only 82 minutes long, so it's a tight movie that manages to cover a lot of ground depicting Halloween and all the different events that happen on this one night in a small town. Trick or Treat offers a grand scope for a movie that's shorter than the Scooby-Doo movie. Speaking of Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island is briefly shown on a TV screen in Trick or Treat. So fucking cool. Alright, the narrative of Trick or Treat is finely woven, but how are the stories themselves? Well, I won't go into any spoilers because in a movie like this, there's no fun in talking about the stuff that happens in the end. Much like an EC comic book, the stories of Trick or Treat are morality tales where characters do something terrible on Halloween night and wind up getting their comeuppance in the end. Karma is a cold, vengeful bitch in Trick or Treat because maybe you just stole some candy from one of those take-one candy bowls when the occupants of a house are away. A small offense in the grand scheme of things, but an offense that will cost you your lunch and your life. Which is what happens in the first story.
Trick or...
Story 1 is called The Principal because it's about a principal, LOL. The principal is named Stephen Wilkins, and the man is a hardcore devotee to the ancient traditions of Halloween.
Because this is the one night that the dead, and all sorts of other things, roam free and pay us a visit.
So much so that he even kills Thurman Merman from Bad Santa. Thurman had it coming, though. The kid was seen smashing pumpkins, not the band. He stole some candy, and he doesn't wear a costume, unless you would really count that bullshit t-shirt he's wearing as a costume which reads, "This is my costume." Yeah, he deserves to die. The first story is exclusively about the guy who was supposed to play the Lizard in Spider-Man 4 trying to dispose of a child's corpse in his own backyard of all places. There's not a whole lot more story than that, and it's never explained why exactly the principal does it, but that doesn't really matter. I don't care. The principal is the grossest of the stories, and I've seen a lot of folks get offended by it, but fuck 'em.
How about if we make some caramel apples, just like Grandpa used to? How about that?
The first story isn't all that scary, and it's very simple, but it's gruesome, amusing, and it does a good job establishing the other stories. Also, Dylan Baker knocks it out of the park playing out the burial scene.
Now go watch Charlie Brown, and I'll be in a minute.
Charlie Brown's an asshole.
Billy Wilkins.
Really well done. Story 2 is called The School Bus Massacre Revisited, which is the only story with a title that is more than 2 words, and appropriately, it's also the tale with the most story going for it. The second story is about a group of trick-or-treaters on a mission to collect jack-o'-lanterns that will be offered in tribute at a nearby rock quarry.
That's it.
Sorry, but some asshole went up and down the street smashing all of them.
Why? There's a legend in Warren Valley. Of course there's a legend involved. The backstory is told by that chick that played Hannah Marie in Scary Godmother. Remember that movie?
It happened 30 years ago. On a late Halloween afternoon.
Anyway, so there was once this school bus that took some kids to a, school. But the school wasn't a normal school. And these weren't normal kids. The school bus was normal, though. It was yellow. Pretty normal, if you ask me. The kids were mentally disturbed. I mean, just look at these fucking creepy costumes and tell me they weren't. But they were ambiguously mentally disturbed so as not to offend anyone. Of course, the movie uses the word retard at one point, so...
Is that Rhonda the retard?
She's not a retard. She's an idiot savant.
You know, still some possible offending going on here. Especially since the bus driver was paid to kill these kids because the parents just couldn't stand taking care of them anymore. Compassionate. I like it. The parents apparently pulled together a lot of money to pay the bus driver to perform this dark, irredeemable deed. This was the 70s, so adjusted for inflation, I think it was probably like $10. That was a lot back then. The bus driver's plan was going according to, plan, but there was one hitch. The vampire kid kept track of the address numbers on houses, and when he noticed the numbers were different on this ride, the kid lost his shit. The boy commandeered the bus and drove it into the nearby rock quarry. The children most certainly died in the waters below because they were chained up, but the bus driver got out relatively unscathed. I'd say he earned his $10. That's the backstory, and the 4 kids head into that quarry, along with a last-minute addition in the form of Rhonda, a savant who is an admirer of Halloween. I don't know if you can tell based on her house. Of course, Rhonda isn't treated very well in the group. I wonder if that will come back to bite these 4 kids while they're in the quarry where a massacre happened. Probably not. Things will be totally peachy. The second story is my favorite. It has the most stuff going on, some great character interactions, and the backstory is pretty good and looks great. The quarry is also really creepy, and there's a lot of claustrophobic tension down there with the fog and sound design. The child and teen actors are all good in this story. Sam Todd is basically Velma, to the point where she should probably play the character in another live-action movie.
Predating Christianity, the Celtic holiday was celebrated on the one night between autumn and winter when the barrier between the living and the dead was thinnest, and often involved rituals that included human sacrifice.
Britt McPhillip is mean, but doesn't cross a line into becoming a caricature like a lot of other bullies in movies.
Jesus, will you shut up and let me tell the damn story?
Jean-Luc Bilodeau is the kind of guy you'd see in a Disney Channel original movie, so the actor is a natural as the nice guy character. Alberto Geizi, or whatever, seems genuinely terrified at times.
I want to go back home!
Then you have Isabelle Deleuze, who looks unfortunate to have braces. Great cast here. It's like Goonies if it was an R-rated horror movie. Story 3 is called Surprise Party, and yeah, there's a surprise at a party. The story involves 4 girls, 2 of which are sisters. The younger sister is named Lori, played by Anna Paquin, and while the other girls in the group are pros at getting around, Lori's apparently a 22-year-old virgin, and the other girls are trying to get her to pop her cherry with a stranger this Halloween by dressing her like a kindergartner? Sexy?
I look like I'm 5. Shut up, you look great.
Yeah, so Lori is pretty much acting out Little Red Riding Hood in her story, but instead of going to Grandma's house, she's trying to get laid. Unbeknownst to her, there's a monster on the loose, but it's not a big bad wolf, but instead a masked vampire man who's attacking young women, and Lori becomes the next target. Huh, a masked man is stalking a girl named Lori on Halloween? Pretty sneaky, sis. The third story is probably my least favorite, if not for the ending. The ending is really good, especially since it also ties up a previous story. It's just that the build-up feels like filler in between stories, where Lori is trying to find a date. Really, what makes this story is the ending, so there's not a whole lot to talk about here. The fourth story is called Meet Sam. Guess who we meet? Sam pops in throughout the movie in each story, but he doesn't participate until the final story. Sam appears to be a little boy, but what he really is up in the air, like that crow used to be. Sam is obviously named after Sam Hain, which was a gay lick festival or whatever that kind of became Halloween. Michael Dougherty created Sam to be the Halloween equivalent to Santa Claus. Move over, Great Pumpkin. Much like old Saint Nick, Sam is always watching, but Sam's only purpose is to make sure that everybody is doing Halloween correctly, and if you fuck up, he'll fuck you up. If you see Sam, you damn well better offer him a piece of candy. This is where old Mr. Krieg screws up. The man is, essentially, the Scrooge of Halloween. There's a reason for his hatred of the holiday, but that's privileged information. The point is, Krieg not only refuses to participate in the holiday, he also makes everyone else have a bad time. In lieu of 3 ghosts visiting Krieg, Sam visits Krieg instead to save time. This story is all about an old man trying to survive a mischievous assault against him by a Halloween imp. There isn't much of a narrative beyond Krieg's night getting fucked with, but that's entertaining enough with all the terrible fucking things that happen to the guy. The ending does a good job again tying up an earlier story, and Brian Cox is really great in the role as a Midwestern Scrooge that cannot be redeemed.
It stinks like a dead whore out here.
The raspy breathing that Cox does at times is like a terminally ill Darth Vader. Well, I guess Vader is also terminally ill, but he's also a walking life support system, so it's not quite the same thing. Anyway, Brian Cox delivers a prickly but vulnerable performance.
Happy Halloween.
Screw you!
So those are the stories that Trick or Treat offers. There isn't a bad egg in the bunch, but there's certainly some weaker links in the chain. The movie is fun all the way to the end, which is what ultimately matters. Trick or Treat is a beautiful movie, not just in the cinematography, but also in the costume and set design. Michael Dougherty's designs are really odd. Even something like an innocent angel costume will look off-kilter and creepy with a strange baby mask. The costumes of the children in the bus say so much about who they are without actually having them speak. Especially that weirdo wearing the paper bag on his head with that friggin' huge mouth. Then there's Sam, who has pretty much become as big of an icon as possible for a new character that's only been in one movie thus far. Sam's costume encompasses what Halloween is all about: childishness and scariness. Trick or Treat's locations just ooze Halloween spirit, and the film has a great atmosphere. Honestly, for me, watching this movie is just as much of a requirement during Halloween time as watching Halloween. I wouldn't call Trick or Treat a great classic horror movie, but it's certainly a super good Halloween film that has already become a staple of the season. That's sort of easy because there aren't really a lot of great movies that are about Halloween. So yeah, if you're in the market for a new Halloween movie to watch that isn't a slasher film, give Trick or Treat a shot. I give Trick or Treat an asshole out of Trevor.
Josh.
Whatever.
Remember to check your candy. Ah, man, my throat is sore.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah. Happy Halloween.